this computer. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Aurelia Byrne. I sound a little stuffy. I have a cold. I apologize. I was telling the guys here that I sound like Kermit the Frog, but maybe not. I don't know. So I'm extremely excited to have these gentlemen here today because they have something very, very, very unique that I think is overdue for men in general. This is a foundation called Foundation Men's Legacy 95. It's a nonprofit organization. And, you know, I don't want to be the spoiler because I know Dr. Stephen LeDuc here has a lot to say about this foundation, and he's got some, you know, great guys here to talk about their journey. And without further ado, Dr. Stephen LeDuc. Hello, guys. Just want to say hello to all of you. You know,
what's up, everybody?
Tell us about your men's foundation. I know that it's a huge support network for men and emotional and mental health, from what I'm gathering. But yes, I'll let you take it away, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you, Aurelia. Well, we're happy to be here. I appreciate the invitation. You and I have known each other for years now, and I've been in this space of health and wellness. I am a dentist. And so myself and my spouse, Jill Wade, who's a dentist also, who you've known Dr. Wade how long, Aurelia?
I don't know, a long time.
Many
pushing
years.
on almost 10 years, maybe. Yeah.
So y'all have pushed in the Smile with Heart program, and you have your foundation as well. So Jill and I had went to some coaching just to make ourselves better, right? And what we learned in that process is that there's some foundational things that were a little bit out of whack. And so we, as our relationship grew and got healthier, we saw the need for people around us in our circles that could be helped by some of the things that we learned about ourselves and some of the tools and stuff. And so we had formed this foundation to help people connect, and started doing some coaching of our own. We originally were helping out the coaching group that we started with. And so that's what you see here. This men's legacy group is a bunch of different dudes. You have a dentist, and I'm a part-time proctologist, by the way. You've got Guy Robertson, that is runs a trucking company that does all kinds of things. That runs a $5 million a year. Chris Oth runs a youth sports complexes, and Chris, y'all do what between all your complexes? What do y'all do money wise a year?
About 6 to 7 million. 6 to 7.
Guy has kids. Chris does not. Chris has 4-legged kids. And then you got Colton Sims down here, who's a team roper and a farrier. He's a horseshoer. And so we all come from different backgrounds. And what we found, I think the guys would all agree, is that we have some common needs, some common things that we need. And for Jill and I, we've created these 6 pillars. And what we found is when one of those pillars is crumbling, or one of those pillars starts to not support the roof of life, we can make it okay. When you have a second one that starts to come down, it's a little bit tougher. But when you have a third one, the shit hits the fan. Like it gets tough. And so that's essentially what kind of attracted this. Some of Colton and I started out doing some one-on-one coaching. Guy Robertson and I have known each other for 25 years. And Chris came to the group through a friend of the group. So we all come for different reasons. But what we get when we get here is we get friendship, we get understanding, we get vulnerability. We're very vulnerable. We're very transparent, and we get empowerment. We get reminded to live in the light, right? To live in a space, in a time, and an energy that allows us to be the best version of ourselves. And let me, I'll stop right there if you don't mind. Can I just ask the guys a couple questions real quick and direct it at them?
I love to see how you guys interact. This is
How we
the whole point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Awesome.
this is your deal.
Yeah. So and by the way, whenever I said, hey man, I have a great friend that she has this weekly podcast at 6 to 7, they're all like, heck yes. Because part of our mission, each of us is a little bit different, but we want to share this with the world also. We don't want a group of 20 dudes because it's just not as functional and stuff, but we do know that getting the message out and encouraging other men to go and have these types of relationships is key to living a full life and living a better life. We've all experienced, all four of us have experienced issues with sedation and either alcohol or drug abuse at some point in our own lives where we've drank too much or we've had other issues. We've also all had loss where we've had friends that have committed suicide. And that hurts. And so we just know that this is important and getting the message out is good, and healthy. Chris, what has being in the group meant for you, buddy?
I would say being in the group has meant a lot to me, actually, and really has provided a sense of structure. Always working, which I love working, but when you just work all the time, you kind of lose a sense of other things in life and what's important. And the group has really helped with a sense of accountability and a lot of structure.
Awesome. Colton Sims. How about you, Bubba?
Kind of like what Chris said. Being in the group, it's really helped a lot of structure. I've always been more than willing to put in the work, but I had to have somebody teach me how to do it effectively. I kind of was just scatterbrained for a while, and when I started working with Doc, it was a good way to. I learned a good way to use tools, whether it be to set up your business or just to be confident in yourself.
Yeah. I love it. What's your favorite tool, by the way, or what's the thing that you use the most that you think like you might? He's smiling, so I'm going to be quiet. What is it?
Square breathing.
Yes.
Square breathing.
Yeah.
Do we get a little snippet of that, or are you just going to keep that hidden?
No.
Okay.
Inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, and exhale for 5 seconds.
Yeah. Repeat the process. A
Yeah.
little bit of, so we teach mindfulness. I'll say out of the four of us that are on here, Colton was probably the least likely to kind of engage in like he tried to do some meditation, some other things. He's a believer. He reads his word regularly, and so he's a very spiritual dude. But sometimes, especially for Christians, all four of us have been brought up in some form of Christian upbringing. And what I encourage the guys is to go find their own path, right? Like, hey, your parents are done raising you. What does that relationship with you and God, you and the universe, you and nature look like, right? And so each of us is kind of on our own path. And so for Colton, he found that after a period of time, and he's made he's with his team roping. He's made upwards of, well, he won an event where him and his teammate won $65,000 or something like that. Isn't that right? Is that right? 65? Yeah. So
Great.
Stupid money, but a lot of it just came from mindset, mindfulness, and being able to slow his heart rate down and just be in the moment, right? Just be there. Don't make the moment bigger than me. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just, I'm just here right now. So I love that you shared that, Colton. That surprised me. I thought you were going to say something else, like I started putting my phone down when I poop, or something like that, like something really profound,
No, I won't do that.
You're like, that's a line in the sand, right? Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Guy Robertson, what would you say is the biggest impact this group has had on your life, buddy?
I would say one of the big things is just community. That's a kind of a place a man, I think, tends to go when shit goes a little sideways, is withdrawal, and bringing yourself out of that, or bringing myself out of that, and getting to talk vulnerable in front of other men and find out that, hey, you know what, everybody's got shit going on. That for me has been really powerful, and just reaching out, holding each other up, kind of things that men don't talk about a whole lot.
Amen.
So that's been very powerful.
Amen. And I think that's, I love that you brought up the vulnerable thing. You and I have known each other forever. We've lived as really good friends, even though we were kind of distant. Like, we were friends and we shared deep shit, but we didn't make time to say, man, okay, I get it. Like, good for you, but really, how are you? Yeah. But really, how are you? And so Chris grew up on the East Coast in a family that, if I remember correctly, they're Catholic, right, Chris?
Yes.
And so very spiritual foundation, but grew up in a lot of that. Hey, we don't go there. We don't talk about the vulnerable stuff. And he's lost a lot of his friends, to whether it be overdose, suicide, and it breaks his heart. It breaks all our hearts, but if the thing that we can do to give back is to create that community and that vulnerability, Chris, what would you say, just to kind of riff off of what Guy said, what would you say that vulnerability has done for you, in terms of not having that as an adult male, up until the group?
I'd say being honest with myself and also trying new things, kind of like my faith journey. I don't follow any one faith at the moment, but I do study different faiths to see where I'm at. So I think that's maybe real vulnerable. And I would say just making me step outside my comfort zone, and making me think on my own, with some guidance.
Yeah. I love that. Well, Aurelia and I, when we first met, one of the ways that we really connected was based on our different way of looking at faith, right? And allowing each other or respecting each other as we were talking about our faith or spirituality. And we didn't like put each other in a hole and it was one of the reasons why I really loved and respected her from the get-go, was because she was so, you were just so loving and kind. And I remember in Jill's kitchen, actually, us talking about, you had a rain stick, right? One time in the beginning.
Oh, I had probably one of those too.
You did. And then you had the
my singing bowls. Yeah.
Yes. But we just talked about how God is abundant, which is one of our principles, that the universe is for you, that the law of attraction is always in effect, right? So you're putting out good positive energy, you're putting out good vibes, you're contributing to other people's lives in a positive way, and that naturally will come back to you. If you're pissed off, shitting on people, if you're disrespecting people and you have no trust, then that's going to be an issue as well. And the main thing I think we talk about filling your own cup, Aurelia, is that it starts with you, right? It starts with how you believe about yourself, what you believe about yourself. And we call that the shadow work, which is we say we want to shine a light on all the areas of your life and leave nothing in the shadows and left nothing in the darkness. So we literally talk about everything in this group, from your relationship with your spouse, and we challenge each other on that. We ask what you want. What do you want out of life? What do you want out of this situation? And then we kind of kick each other's ass when needed. We hug each other when needed. We laugh a lot. When we start laughing, sometimes you can't stop. And then we break it down into 6 pillars, right? It's the spiritual pillar, and then the emotional wellness pillar. Then there's mental health and mindset and intellectual health. And that's all based around what do you do with your brain in terms of growing. There's relationships, the social aspect of things. Then there's the financial aspect of things. And then lastly, it's the physical health, which includes nutrition, sleep, just what are we doing to our bodies? And so we realize we're never perfect. We use the phrase, I'm always perfectly imperfect, but that's how God created this universe and for us to operate. I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions real quick. Guy Robertson, what pillars coming into the group, what pillars would you say you needed the most help? List 1 or 2 you needed the most help with, and then, or the most work with, and then 1 or 2 that you felt like were kind of good. And I'm saying this because this podcast, guys, is going to go out to, and other men are going to watch it, right? Or women maybe that have a dad or a brother or a spouse that have some of these issues. And so for one, we never always have our shit together, right? But if you guys would mind sharing out of the 6 pillars, and in your own words, what's 1 or 2 that you came into the group really needing to kind of build off of, and why? And then what's 1 or 2 that you kind of had down and you're like, no, I'm good there. And they'll see the kind of diversity in you guys. Guy.
Okay, so I was just mentally trying to go through
I
where I needed the
I
most.
saw you process.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Don't get Guy more than 3 steps.
Yeah. So the thing with me was awareness overall, that I really didn't know where I was. Honestly, looking at me from the outside, you would think I was a successful person. Everything was going great. But on the inside, it was a way different story. So, man, physical was big because I'm fit. I eat pretty good and all these things, but mental fitness was way out of whack. I was abusing alcohol successfully, I'll say, because I went to work every day. I didn't miss. I wasn't living under a bridge, but my ability to function correctly, I would say, is not, or fully and wholly was not there. That was probably the biggest thing that I became aware of that I didn't really see. And that's been one of the biggest changes in my life, is taking that away. It has given me room for physical health, as well as a big part of mental health.
Yeah.
And that all kind of ties from one pillar to the next, is one of the things that makes it tough to say which one's the most, because it's improved my relationship with my family. It's improved my work abilities. I would say the biggest one, anything on the mental side of each one of the pillars has really been big for me. Mm-hmm. So my mindset has changed from all these impossibilities to a whole world of possibilities.
Yeah.
So I'm exuberant about life now. Things don't just freak me the hell out. I just have improved in tons of ways in that direction as well.
Awesome. What'd you come in with that was strong already? I'd say you had a good
I would
job.
say probably a good what?
You had a good job financially, like that. you know, compared, you know, you were maybe not
Yeah.
always happy, but yeah.
Yeah, I would say I was financially secure. So I don't have, you know, I'm blessed to have everything that I have. Could it be more and grow more? Yeah. But like I said, looking at me from the outside, I would appear to be successful. Wife, kids, house, land, good job, you know, all those things that you would think would make someone completely and totally happy.
Right.
But there was a really big piece of the pie still missing that
Yeah.
was killing. It was literally killing me.
Literally. Would you mind,
Literally.
do you mind sharing real quick about your journey with alcohol or?
Yeah. So I drank as a sedation mechanism, I would say. Um, and you know, I didn't sneak drinks during work or whatnot, but as soon as I left work, it was on, and I would drink until I couldn't either stand up, stay awake, or function anymore at all. So um, the issue with that is it began to mentally um, take me apart. And then I also got depression, which I did not realize. And that's the thing about depression, you just don't know you got it. And so that led to more sedation and more drinking, and it just kind of snowballed to the point where I became suicidal. And I kind of, I would, I would say I didn't full on attempt suicide, but I sure as hell was trying to find a way to accidentally do it.
Yeah.
So it scares me now to look back and think about it, but I really, really hurt my family,
Yeah.
and I hurt a lot of others around me that I didn't realize. And it was because I was hurting so much.
Yeah.
And just the awareness alone of that prompted me to look at myself and understand that it was alcohol was a big part of that. And even though I had worked at mindset and those kind of things, with the alcohol still there, I wasn't able to achieve them. And once I removed that, it really changed the ball game for me. And I've been growing ever since. So
Yeah. Amen. Amen. Couple points on that. You started, well, first of all, you were here, you had a life event that happened that really shook your world and made you evaluate some shit. It was, in the process of working with this group and then some other coaching and stuff that you chose to start attending AA, right?
yes, yeah.
And he and I communicate with others that are kind of in that same area of need right now on a either weekly or bi-weekly basis, just checking in on others. He has a tremendous heart right now to help with that. And he and I have done our family legacy camping together. And so he's done a lot of things to expand out. But the biggest thing I think all the men on here would say is just that that we've watched him go from an emotionally unstable, maybe mentally unstable place to one of a lot of certainty. And so Aurelia, we hold each other accountable. We say we bust each other's balls to go chase after the things that you want. And we do this thing called life mapping, where we map out the 6 pillars and say, where are you at right now? Where do you want to go? And we use the old beliefs and the old primal thinking as understanding of why we act the way we act, but we don't say in that. We say, okay, what are we going to do to shock you to get out of it? And we talk about stepping out of the gap. Hey, Chris and Colton, y'all speak into Guy real quick. What would you say are where have you seen him grow, or what have you seen change in him, or what about him do you respect? Like speak real quick, just for somebody else that's out there that's listening that might be in the same boat. What have you seen in his journey that either inspired you or you like to see the change in him?
I would say nothing but respect for Guy. But I would say one thing that I saw in the last 6-7 months I've been with the group is his relationship with his family and his wife, and how that's just absolutely blossomed. I would say that's the biggest one for me, as well as his confidence in things at work.
Yeah. He's part owner of this business, and there's some things that need to get clarified. And so he's begun the process of stepping into that, which is, as Aurelia knows, as a business owner, running a business is damn hard. It sucks at times, doesn't it, Colton? And it's just one of those things that sometimes we just get down in the dumps about. We just get in a rut, and guys used this platform and been brought to light. And we, like I said, kick him in the butt on some things, being like, hey, it's time for you to get clear on this, not just for you, but also for your family. And oftentimes, Aurelia, as you know, in starting your business, you have to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, I'm not going back there. Like I'm going to make forward progress in this. Colton, what have you seen in Guy that you've either appreciated or that has inspired you or something like that?
So the biggest thing I've seen in Guy is that when so Guy, he's just like everybody else. And after a while you can get disappointed at yourself because you feel stagnant and things aren't going as quick as you want or expect them to. And Guy likes a challenge. When there's a little bit of trouble, Guy, he will always get through it, and go even farther than really he even had to or needed to. He's just an overachiever.
Yeah. He is definitely takes it to the level and then one step, right? And I'm chuckling because Aurelia, we all came from dads that were pretty traditionally kind of strict dads, like rub some dirt on it. And Guy's family's definitely that way. And so what I want Guy to hear right now is you just got called out as an overachiever. Did you hear that? So, which is true. Dudes, thanks for sharing that. Chris Oth, what about your pillars? What's a couple that you came in knowing you need to work on, and what's one or two that we're working?
I would say that they all needed to be worked on once we started pulling back the layers, and talking. I guess you could say finances was good coming in, but I would say family, fitness, faith, everything needed improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say family probably being my biggest one, just because my relationship with my wife is great, but when you work all the time, just opposite schedules, it's, when are you making time for your family? So I'd say family is probably my biggest. Now that I take a step back and look at it, fitness is always important. And faith has been a fun, interesting journey. And I've totally accepted that I'm just trying to figure stuff out. But yeah, I would say family. Family is the biggest and most important.
Love it. What's it done for your relationship with Kristen and even this badass goal that y'all had of buying property and y'all following through with it? Because that was a big financial goal, but I would say for you that was probably a more spiritual and relationship kind of goal. That's really, so what's it done for your marriage and for y'all as two hardworking, how old are you, Chris, by the way?
33. 33.
So you're both some 30-year-old hardworking, young man and young woman doing your thing, kind of in the middle of growing as an adult. What's it done for your marriage?
It's helped me be more present and understand things can wait. Being present in the moment, taking time to go do things, even little things like going for a walk in the morning, like we did before this call. Paying attention to small details, putting phone down, communicating in person. Just setting boundaries. That's what it's done.
Wow, nice. Where'd you have to set boundaries on?
For me, it was putting work down, and when I'm home, I'm home. When I'm at work, I'm at work, because we could all work all day long.
Amen.
So I would say that's the biggest boundary.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Cool, cool, cool. Chris has come to us. He is our structure guy. He is he's I have to be careful how I ask questions, because if I ask them like too abstract and stuff, Chris will be like, okay, what do you mean, Leduc? Like I talk in circles, right? So he always straightens me out, which I love. He absolutely, I'm going to get emotional saying this, he has a crazy passion for helping others and for help, specifically for helping young people. He has been exposed to a lot of loss, and even we had one of his coaches that worked for him underneath him, 30 something year old dad of, did he have 4 or 6 kids that passed it?
Coach Dwight,
Yeah.
5.
5 kids, young kids, had a heart attack there in the facility, got taken. And so he really gets to see firsthand these things that, if we don't take care of ourselves in a better manner, the consequences are lifelong. And then he gets to see these kids, like I said, that are there. So the team that he coaches, the soccer team, is very successful. And I love that. Guy and Colton, what have y'all seen in Chris in terms of his growth, and what do you appreciate about him?
I have seen that Chris he looks very joyful all the time, which he's always a very happy person.
He is. He's
But
positive.
from the time the group started with Chris until now, he's very joyful. Just something changed about him.
Yeah. I would say that too. It clicked. Sometimes I have to remind his face, but he's a really positive influence at work, and he's a great, amazing, positive influence in this group. And I love it because he's a no bullshit. Like he's like straight shooter, no fluff. Colton and Guy and I, we have a tendency to be a little bit more descriptive sometimes with things. And Chris just shoots straight through all that. Chris, Guy, what did you see in Chris?
I can sum it up real quick. It just came to me. So the Chris before, if he couldn't put it in a spreadsheet, he couldn't understand it. And now he's like, oh yeah, I'm getting all these things. It's just beautiful. But yeah, he's definitely like spreadsheets and numbers and answers that have to line up mathematically. But now I see another side of Chris that's like, hey, there's some shit in this universe that I just can't put in a spreadsheet.
Now he has a coloring book, like an adult one.
Just don't ask him to go too far outside the lines, right? I mean, don't get crazy. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. Colton Sims, you're up, buddy. What's a couple of things that you need to work on, and one or two that was already working?
So what was already working was I have a really good relationship with my family. And right now I live right outside my dad's door, so it's pretty nice. I'm close to my siblings. But the biggest thing I needed to work on when I joined the group was 1, financial, and 2 was relationships. Financially, when we started, I was not doing so hot. I just quit a job I had for 4 years and tried to go full self-employed, or I did, and it was real stressful. and I couldn't have been set up in a better way. But I also didn't have somebody to teach me how to run a business. I just jumped in on my own. From then until now, I have a very successful business, and I enjoy what I do. Before, I wasn't enjoying it very much, and I couldn't get my rear end out of bed. I'd get out at 8 o'clock and wouldn't go to work till 10. But also, as far as relationships, I have a lot of good relationships, but I had a couple bad relationships that it's not that they had a negative effect on me. They just weren't healthy for me to be in. They either weren't people weren't looking out for me, or I was putting a lot of work in and I wasn't getting anything back.
Yeah.
So I kind of cut those off, and it's made me much happier. And I'm just overall, I'm much more of a pleasant person to be around.
Oh, and humble. Super
Maybe.
humble. Super humble.
Yeah.
Guy and Chris, how have you seen Colton grow, or what do you appreciate about him now?
I appreciate Colton's honesty in everything he says. But one thing I've seen big time is his growth with running his own business and kind of figuring out, having help, getting information from people that have been there before, but also just going out there on a limb and figuring out on his own, and being quite successful early on in it.
Yeah, I see that too. Colton, how old are you?
24.
24 years old. Old man River. Yeah.
I think that me, you, and Guy are the oldest ones in this group here.
Guy and I are definitely the old dude. And we've effed it up more than enough ways. And so, and with all four of us, and even our previous men that have been in the group, this group's not for everybody. If you don't want to show up on a weekly basis, this is not for you. If you don't want to do the work, this group's not for you. And if you don't want to be vulnerable and real and authentic, it's not for you. But all four of us have a very similar goal, is that those that are in our circles, or those people that we know, or the people that come into our path, like you, Aurelia, we are in the mindset of you don't have to waste 15 years trying to figure this shit out, right? Like, there's stuff you can start making movement on it now, and identifying what's holding you down, whether it's something like alcohol, whether it's something like your past, or your the way your parents treated you, or a divorce or a separation or something. Maybe it's bad choices you made, right? And like Chris said multiple times, sometimes it's just, we just get to where we're working all the time, and we think we're being successful, and we look up, but we're really not fucking happy, Guy Robertson, how about you? What did you see in Chris off with his growth, or what do you appreciate about him?
I mean, Colton.
Colton, yeah.
Oh, did I say? Yeah, sorry.
So I would say that Colton has definitely gotten into a place where he's more focused. He has that young puppy ambition that's kind of all over the place, and he's been able to rein in a couple things, like wanting to get out and choke a guy in a parking lot, to, hey, it's
Remember
okay.
that story?
It's okay. He just happened to pull in front of me. No big deal. So I see that coming along for him, where he's got that smooth but firm way of going about himself, where before it was kind of like unbridled passion, that beautiful youth thing, and that didn't get taken away, but it got structured. That's right. What I see.
I love it. Well, Colton is a really good example too of hustling, right? And so when he and I sat down one-on-one, we said basically he's going to make up his money from roping which you can't make money roping if you're not good at it, which meant mindset work. But he's also needed to balance it because roping can be very expensive. And he's a young pup out here with a lot of people that are older, and a lot of these guys that rope at this level he's at and below, they've got money to burn, and they're just doing it as a kind of side hobby and whatever. And he wants to be great at it. And he already is great. He really has leveled up this last 6 to 9 months. But he's also got the horseshoeing job, and that's kind of his steady. And so for anybody that's out there that doesn't have, the dentist or the job where you're managing 30 to 60 people, Colton's a single entrepreneur that has to hustle. And when he gets rained out, or if it's too damn hot and he can't shoe at certain parts of the middle of the day, then he has to figure out how he's going to make it work. Right. And then he has to do that while also balancing the other side of the money making. So there's a lot of things that we just set forth. He had some old belief systems where he was only worth a certain amount of money per horse. And we've helped him push past that mindset. And now he's generating a considerable amount more. And he just sees his value. Chris works within this big organization, with just a couple of people above him. But what was Chris' spiritual vision? What was his foundation, right? For himself underneath that structure. And then same thing with Guy, as part owner of his, there were some things that he, and Aurelia, this too, we get lost in the sauce kind of what is daily life, the daily grind. And we look up and we look in the mirror, and sometimes we don't like what we see. And that's kind of where we all were at. And I would say in general, guys, would you agree when you first came into the group, there were some things going okay for you, but kind of just generally unhappy with where either you were at or where you were headed. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sounds
I
like
see. I see one thing to point out, maybe from somebody looking at this from an outside perspective, is that, this isn't one of those groups where everyone gets together and bashes on you about what you need to improve.
Yeah.
We do it in a way where it's self-generated, and we get to stop and really look at ourselves and see what doesn't work. Stephen's always saying no shame, no guilt, and that's really a big thing that it's so easy. I think even more so for a man to feel shameful and guiltful about where they are in life or what's upsetting them or anything like that. But for me, it's been really a big relief to just say, oh, you know what, that just didn't work. What else can we do with it? So all of these things that we've each made improvements on and changes on has been things where we've learned how to stop and look at ourselves and see where we need improvement, and then we get the support. Nobody in this group came to me and said, Guy, you're an alcoholic shit show. It was just, when I started looking at what wasn't working, it's like, hey, this is causing me mental problems and things. And I was able to make the AA journey all on my own. Nobody told me that. Nobody did anything like that. So I think that's a really powerful part of what goes on with us, is that we get to choose. We get to learn to look at ourselves in a different way. And it's just not something that's taught anywhere else. I really don't see.
Yeah. I haven't seen this in any circles. Guys,
well, I have to say, as a woman, I mean, and I commend you guys. Like, I mean, it's I'm sure all of your wives your spouses are just so happy that you got in tune with your own self. You know what I mean? Like, that's important. Like, women, we're emotionally based, or at least you guys are too, but it's more on the forefront, right? Like, we're emotional. We can get in touch with our feelings easier sometimes, and it's okay, because that's, what we do, stereotypically. And you guys are raising the bar for yourselves, and for, you're setting a tone that it's okay. I think it's beautiful. And your career, financially, spiritually, all the 6 pillars that you're talking about, like, you're doing the work.
Yeah,
And
we really are.
And there's a lot of gentlemen out there that they need to do the work too, but they don't see it, because, whatever the society makes a man supposed to be, I guess. You guys got different things you're dealing with than women, in a society. So I think it's quite, honorable that you're doing what you're doing. And like you said, Stephen, you don't want to have like this gigantic group, but you want to help other people maybe get a group together and like make pods of different groups, that they have their own trust network. Is that what
Oh yeah.
ultimately would be an amazing thing to do?
I would love it. That's part of our goal, is ultimately my moonshot is to help 20 million people. And that happens in small, intimate, one-on-one relationship type ways. And I've asked the guys, and they're more than willing in their, whether it be in our circle and other circles, to go out and do it. I want to bounce off what you said about the feminine and the masculine. We all, some of us had to identify with our feminine side, which is kind of the shadow, which is the loving, tender side, that we need to say, hey, we all have that. God created that as a part of our being. But it really pisses us off too out in society, because the masculinity of the man is being like just beat down. Like, it's like you can't be a masculine man and be in touch with or be working on your emotional wellness and also be a badass businessman, or physically fit or whatever else. And so that's something that we work on, is that balance. We go hardcore for, if you're emotionally disconnected with something, we will go and help you see that. But like Guy said, then you get to choose. It's not, if you want to do it, or if you're going to try to do it, this is probably not the group for you. We are the group where we're going to go do it. And we will challenge you on that if there's a deficiency there, but we do it in a loving way. We do it in a way that is, sometimes we just call each other out. Like, it's pretty, call a spade. And I think that's the reason it works, is because we identify with the masculine and feminine, right? Like, we understand in my physical and mental health that if God created me to be this masculine being, then I need to go be in touch with that, right? For most of us, it means we need to be creating, we need to be out working, we need to be out doing the things that are about the essence of who we are. And it also means that we need to not be stomping through the forest and knocking everybody else down, and can't play well with others, right? And that's the kind of crap that happens in our relationships oftentimes. So it's these dudes are a really great example of that. It's been a tremendous journey so far. We're still on that journey. It's set up, by the way, where we do 30, 60 or 90 day, what we call a sprint, and then we'll take a time off. We're in a period of rest right now. We're about to get going again here, probably in the next 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks. And so if somebody is out there, I don't know when you're going to put this out there, but if somebody's out there and they want to join us, they're more than welcome to reach out to me through you. But also individually, what I love about these 3 men is that if somebody was out there already and they identified with him and they were like, hey, can I talk to that dude? All 3 of them would say, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I absolutely love that. And I appreciate that, because as you and I know, Aurelia, where we first connected, it's about energy, right? That energy that we put out there. And that's what we're working on every day. We're perfectly imperfect. And We'll jack it up in one moment and mess it up. But we have an opportunity to come back and make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm I'm super proud of all of you guys. It's awesome. And it was nice to meet you this morning, very early.
Yes. Hey, and if Gary wants to come join us, we're always here.
I know. I'd love to get him in there. You guys have incredible journeys. I'm so, I've heard, I've talked to Stephen lots of times about this, and I see his post on Facebook, and I'm like, I just would love to support, and I've recommended people to your group, and because they've told me their journey, and I'm like, listen, talk to these men because you're a man and this would be great for you, so thank you so much for joining me, and I'm excited to met all of you. So different and so unique, so cool.
Yeah.
So you guys
Thank you for having us on today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you for sharing all your vulnerability with us, and thank you, Stephen, for allowing me to do this for you.
Well, I love you, Aurelia. I appreciate what you're doing. I thank you for getting our message out there, but also more importantly, what you do. You know that. I love your tenacity. Aurelia you're just making your own path, aren't you? And you and Dr. Wade, y'all are some badass ladies, and I appreciate that. And the world needs more of that too. And I think what you're doing is so important because it's part of the energy that needs to get out there. And it's one of the things I need to do a better job is letting people know about what we do and what you do. So I appreciate you being an inspiration for me as well. Guys, anything to say to wrap it up? Any last words?
Yeah. Aurelia, you ought to feel pretty special because there are women that get pissed off because they can't be in our group. This is history. You're the first woman ever.
Well, I get to showcase your awesomeness, so that's all that I care about. I want to share what you guys with other men. I mean, yes, I'm excited. I know.
That's true. I love that. Well, as Dr. Wade said to me, as Jill said to me recently, and Chris's wife said, we've been on a break for about the last 3-4 weeks. And they both said, hey, when's the group thing starting back up? Because you need to go back in there. You need the accountability. So I'll leave it at that. It works good for the relationship, and they know that we're in it and working on ourselves. So,
well, I mean, I think that that's very important because I have that too. I have that connection with Jill and some other women that I have a coach. I have 2 wonderful coaches. So there's nothing wrong with that. It keeps me straight because I'm more like you, Stephen, where I'm like, oh, I'm not like Chris. Like, give me the spreadsheet. I have to work on that. That's a pillar that I must work on. I'm more of a creative. Right. So
yes.
So thank you guys so much for allowing me to interview you. I'm not going to be part of your group, but I'm going to support your group 100%. I'm with you guys in group spirit. Put it that way.
You're welcome to come join us anytime, and maybe we'll bring you on and let you teach Colton a little bit more about meditating quietly with what's the bowl called?
I have some singing bowls. Yeah.
Yes.
Aligning the chakras. Yeah.
We'll help align Colton's chakras and get him in some spandex and a sports bra and you know what? Never mind. That's too bad.
But he has to wear his hat the whole time.
Well, he'll do that. Let's not even get into all the weird places that he always requires wearing a hat. So we'll leave it at that.
All right, guys. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Love y'all, man. Y'all have a good day, man.